mighty warlord fell, not by the blade of an enemy, but by the silence of his own heart. Thus ended the reign of a man who once held Ibadan in the palm of his hand. His death marked more than the fall of a man. It signaled the beginning of the end for Ibadan's dominance. The warlord who had once boasted of crushing the Ekitis in 3 days was no more. In his absence, Ibadan's morale crumbled into dust. Still the war raged, but the cost was everywhere. Soldiers staggered with exhaustion, ammunition dwindled, and across Yorubaland, towns lay in ruins, families fled, and trade withered into dust. Over 200,000 men had marched to war. Thousands lay dead. Once thriving Yoruba towns became ghost villages. Ibadan stood weakened, Ekiti Parapo still defiant. The war, drained of blood and purpose, staggered toward an uneasy peace. In the end, the Yoruba civil war had no victor, only survivors. In distant Lagos, British merchants grew restless. The fires of Yorubaland's war threatened to scorch their dreams of trade and control. Commerce lay in ruins. The cocoa roots, once thriving, were broken. With profits bleeding away, diplomacy became a race against time. But by then, Ibadan and all of Yorubaland had fallen under a new shadow, the British protectorate. Just like the African proverb goes, when brothers fight to the death, it is the stranger who inherits their father's estate. On September 23, 1886, at Imesi-Ile, a peace treaty was signed. The Ekitis were declared free, their long struggle finally honored in ink and history. Though the war officially ended in 1886, the last warriors didn't lay down their arms until 1893, when Governor G.T. Carter visited both camps and ordered final disarmament. In the end, it wasn't gunfire that ended the Kiriji War. It was fatigue and the fragile thread of diplomacy. The Ekiti spirit endured and triumphed. Ekiti Parapo was no longer just a name. It became a living memory, a symbol of unity, resilience, and the unbreakable will to resist. They were not the largest, they were not the strongest, but they were the most determined, and in the end, that made all the difference. The Ekiti spirit cherishes liberty above all, and when faced with chains, they chose death over a life without freedom. Fabunmi of Okemezi, Ogedengbe of Ilesa, the kings, the witch doctors, the Iyayus, they stood for liberty, for land, for dignity. The Kiriji War was more than a conflict. It was a declaration that no empire, no matter how mighty, can crush a people united by purpose.